What's new, 802? I'm Becca Hammond, and you're listening to Burlington Talks. Burlington Talks may include graphic or explicit content. Listener discretion is advised. Happy New Year! Tomorrow's the first day of 2020, and it's a whole new decade, and it's insane. I'm so excited about the upcoming year and the changes I have planned for the podcast. I have a new recording space in the guardhouse studio located in the old fort. I can still travel on site, but I have a dedicated space now to record, which is awesome. I don't have to record in my apartment with my cats meowing. I'm currently in the process of sprucing up the space and adding some soundproofing to improve the sound quality. I'm planning on finally starting the event updates episodes. I'm going to do a top 20 episode, so it's not too long. These are going to be starting at the beginning of February. I'm going to be adding a calendar to the website, which will include the interview dates, episode release dates, and links to the top 20 events each day. You can support the show now by going to burlingtontalks.com/support. I plan on adding bonus content and a Facebook group for supporters. This podcast is for the community, so it would be great to share ideas and network with each other. I hope to host parties in town for the supporters of the show. Since it's local, I can do that for you guys. And it would be great to meet people and discuss new ideas in the area and new businesses that are starting and just have a great conversation, which is the whole point of the podcast. On today's episode, I will be interviewing Brian LaClair. I had so much fun talking with Brian. He's a really talented songwriter and a musician. I get to catch his show at the guardhouse last month. He claims that he cannot skateboard at all. And Brian also runs the DIY Burlington Facebook group. Brian, thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to be here. We're back at the guardhouse studio again, where I have my own podcasting space. So exciting.
It's really cool. It's a little bit creepy, though.
No one else is here, and it was very dark, and there are 20 little rooms, and it's all dark.
And 20 little ghosts, too.
I'm sure there are ghosts.
Yeah.
It's fine. We're safe. There's 2 people here. We're all good. Oh, okay. So, Brian, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Brian. I play guitar. I sing. I don't dance well. I'm a native Vermonter, and I like the color green.
Awesome. So I got to see you play live. You only played a couple songs, but it was phenomenal.
Thanks.
Really loved your originals that you did. Can you tell me a little bit about those?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'm glad you enjoyed watching me play live. It was, believe it or not, the first time that I have personally played alone acoustically ever in my entire life.
You did a good job.
Thanks. I was terrified, and there was a lot of I think I did okay vocally, but I definitely played guitar very, very loudly and very robotically. Almost is how I'd feel. It was really anxiety inducing for me. Was the entire experience. I did have fun. So yeah, I played 2 covers and 2 originals here at the guardhouse. About a month ago now, or 2?
Yeah,
month and a half?
Right around a month, I think. Yep.
And it was kind of like I was forced into it. I wasn't forced into it. I obviously did it willingly. I was very happy about doing it. But Matt Sickard, who runs this place and has been really awesome about kind of putting on shows here and letting people use some practice spaces here. He's been talking to me for months and months and months about we really got to get a place to put on shows. Really got a place to have practice spots. This is my dream of making this happen. And he made it happen, which was awesome. And he invited me to come see this place before the show happened, well before the show happened. And just every step along the way, his whole thing was and you're going to play the first show, and you're also going to help me with sound, but you're going to play the first show. And I had no idea what I was going to play. I wrote maybe 2, I hadn't played original music in a while. And I wrote maybe 2 original acoustic songs at the beginning of 2019, which are what you heard as my originals. And I didn't finish either of them until the day of the show.
Oh, really? They sounded great,
thanks.
though. They really didn't sound like you'd thrown them together by any means.
One of them I recorded with a friend. I drove all the way to Barrie, and my friend has he's a very talented engineer, and he wanted me to come like play with all his mics and play with, give him some material to work with.
Right.
And so I went out there and I recorded one of those songs that you had heard like a few months ago, but even then it just I wasn't done with it. And I didn't know like what the final lyrics were or anything like that. So it had to really evolve naturally. And then at the end, like in a terrified manner of trying to get something presentable before I was in front of a bunch of people and hopefully not making a fool of myself. And I think it all turned out okay. And I definitely felt like a lot happier for doing it, for playing that show and making it happen.
Yeah, I was not expecting it, because your originals, I'm one of the people who get goosebumps when I hear really good music. And it's funny because sometimes it's music that I probably wouldn't put on my iPod. It'll be like classical music, these really big sonatas, but I'll also get goosebumps listening to folk punk songs.
Nice. Yeah.
So just if it's really good, I'll get goosebumps, and I got goosebumps. I was like, oh, these are some good songs. I can tell.
Nice. Yeah, that's very nice.
So have you been in the Burlington area most of your life?
Yeah. So I grew up in Essex, which is kind of technically where we are right now, but not really. We're in like Colchester, Essex.
Cole Essex.
Cole Essex. Which sounds like a terrible like drug name. Essex, like something that your doctor will prescribe you.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Not a street drug, but a drug that they're going to tell you to ask your doctor about on an ad on television.
Exactly. Is it right for you? No. But yeah, so I grew up in Essex. I lived in Burlington for the last 5 years. Like there have been a few times that I've lived outside for a year or so, but mostly just have been around this area.
Yep. Yeah, I kind of consider Essex, Colchester, Winooski. It's kind of like boroughs of the same city. Like we're all, and maybe it shouldn't be Burlington. Maybe we should call it Queen City or something, because we were like, it's the Vermont big city, but it's not really like, it's not just Burlington, because South Burlington isn't technically a part of Burlington, and half the stuff people talk about being in Burlington's technically in South Burlington.
Oh, exactly.
Or technically in Winooski, or whatever. Mm-hmm. We're all in the same area.
Winooski gets really complicated when you're like heading towards Colchester, and then you're like, oh, I'm still in Winooski. Nope, wrong. Sorry, that Shaw's that you hate is actually in Colchester.
Yes, that's funny.
Yeah.
Oh, so did you do any sort of formal music training classes?
Yeah. So when I was like 4. Well, okay. There is like a big story. This is a life story here.
Bracing myself.
So I've been singing my entire life, and I actually, one story that my mom will never let me live down, or she'll never stop telling it to people in front of me, is that I actually, my first words were sung.
Aww,
so I sang before I like spoke.
Wow, that's cute. What did you sing?
It was the Barney theme song. So
like I love you.
Yeah.
Aww. That's cute.
Yeah, she pulls it out whenever she can to tell anybody that I'm like standing in front of having an adult conversation with.
You said Barney song. Hey, that is great, and that is a great story for a musician to have as their first words.
And then I think I started taking piano lessons when I was 4, and I didn't follow through with them. I just did not have like the mental stamina, which is a pretty like consistent theme in my life. It's like not having the mental stamina to follow through with certain things. And so like piano lessons when I was 4 didn't go that well, but I really I think the first time that I was a little bit older, probably 8 or 9, and saw somebody playing like a drum set, I was like, oh, that is super cool. And so I always wanted to play drums, and I started doing percussion stuff in school when I was in 4th grade. And then eventually, I think 6th grade, my parents finally bought me a drum set. I was terrible for a long time at playing a full kit. Now I can like at least hold my own, but it's
Isn't
definitely
it funny that they don't start the 10-year-olds on a drum kit?
Well, I mean, there's no like control over there are definitely some kids who are incredible at playing full kit percussion, but like I'm sure that the majority of 10-year-olds, if you were to hand them 2 drumsticks and put them on a drum throne, they would lose their minds with power.
Right. They probably wouldn't actually stop hitting the drum
Yeah.
set. That could be. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it definitely takes a lot of like dedication and being very strict to like actually become competent at drums. And I think for me, it took a very long time until I was like, now I can be like, oh, I'm comfortable with this, but it's definitely something that I don't practice as much as I should. Yeah. But that's, as far as formal stuff, that's really as far as it goes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome though that you've been singing your entire life. That's kind of a cool story. If I was your mother, I would not let you live that one down either.
It would be nice if she could leave out the Barney theme song part. If it was like, oh, he sang this incredible opera tune.
Just like a Beatles song or something.
Yeah.
I mean, a Beatles song could have started that way, to be honest.
I mean, it's a little disappointing. Like once you get to his first words were sung, it's like, I mean, the follow-up question is always, what song was it?
Right.
Or what did he sing? And his first words were sung is so impressive that just like, oh, the Barney theme song. It's like,
Right. That build-up kind of leads you down.
It's kind of impressive.
It's still cool. So I heard from someone I won't name.
Uh-oh.
I'll give you a hint that it was yesterday when I was doing my interview yesterday.
Okay.
You were in a band called Dented Personality.
Oh my God.
Did I get it right?
Wait, who told you that?
I can't tell you.
Wait, was it your interview with Big Heavy World?
Nope, not Big Heavy World. Sworn to secrecy.
So Max Mashrick told you that I was in Dented Personality. So yeah, when I was, let's see. I mean, it's better than the band's name before. There are so many iterations of this band. Only two of which that I was truly involved with. When I was in 8th grade, I really wanted to be in a band, and I really wanted to sing. I was not a good singer.
Didn't we all want to be in a band in 8th grade? That's so cool back then.
I was not a good singer in 8th grade or in freshman year or like sophomore year of high school, and I definitely there was a period early on in my life where I was in like a children's choir. And definitely had like an angelic voice. I was like pretty decent at singing like a traditional sort of music.
Right. Well, end of 8th grade and the beginning of high school, your voice is changing a lot.
Yes, that's also true. There were people at that time that could sing very well in my grade. So I feel like it was a me thing at that point. My voice still, I still have plenty of like crazy voice things go on just when I'm nervous or when I'm like slightly underwatered. But yeah, so 8th grade, I really wanted to be in a band. 2 of my friends were in a band, and they were like, you should come and be our singer. And I did that for maybe like 2 months, and they decided I sucked, and they kicked me out of the band.
Harsh.
Yeah, I mean, they kicked me out of the band temporarily. I think it was like kind of a mutual like I really enjoyed it, and then they were like, "Hey, we really want to do this with somebody else," and I was like, "Okay, bye." That wasn't that long lasting that we did that, and then
middle school is so harsh.
Yeah, it is. And then freshman year came around, and then that band had kind of dissolved, and one of my friends who was in that band, and we. Actually, I remember like the inception. Like there was a song that was the inception of the band Dented Personality, and him and I, we were sitting in our history class together, and like behind our history class, like the windows were open. It was late in the spring, and very hot in that room, and there was like a greenhouse behind this room, and the teacher was listening to 99.9 The Buzz, and this was when the song. The Use Somebody by Kings of Leon. It was like this huge song.
I played that one to death.
Oh yeah, no, I can't listen to it anymore. But we kept hearing this song. We're like, that's such a bad, like the 9th grade.
It was the coolest you could get.
Oh, this is so cool. Like, what a great song. And so we were like, we rode the bus together every day. And we were like, I think that day we were sitting on the bus and we were like, okay, we got to come up with a band name, because he played drums and I didn't have any talents. And So we're like, we got to come up with a band name. I'm like going back and forth. And I'm like, I've got it. Dented Personality. Let me tell you, I did not have it. But for 5 years, we did a lot of things as Dented Personality. And it was definitely a great, like, it was so like consequential. Like there was nothing, because we were in high school and like had a terrible band name. Like it was such a proving ground for myself to like be more confident, and for better or for worse, and like really like hone whatever craft that I did have. And so like I learned how to play guitar. I became a better singer, and that happened more gradually. Like I think even the band eventually evolved into something called Better Things, and that was really where like the people that were in the band at that time and myself, I think, really like shone through for quite some time. But like we definitely had to like evolve as people and as musicians together to get to that point where it was like, okay, we can change our name and be something like decent now. Like we can stop struggling.
It was a proving point for you, and you said, we're going to change the name now.
Yeah. I mean, it really, like, I think there was definitely a period of like a year maybe before we changed the name where we were like actually a decent band finally. And so we were like out of high school, like we did I think one tour, and the tour was fine. Actually, I think we did 2 tours as Dented Personality. We even like added a band member.
Where did you guys tour?
That was those were like pretty small. So those were the first one that we did, which was like right after high school, and it was terrifying. Was and in a Big Heavy World van. Nice. That I broke
on the trip.
When we were coming back, I think it was like literally we were dropping off. We thought that we were a 3-piece at that point. We thought that we needed a U-Haul trailer. We did not need a U-Haul trailer. It made things so inconvenient. So we got this U-Haul trailer, dropping it off at the end of the tour, like turned the wheel all the way to the right so that I could like back it up properly. And the ball, like there was like a ball joint in the front that had been like welded in, and it just popped. And like, so essentially I'm going to try to help everyone visualize this. As I'm backing up, one wheel completely turned to the right, the other wheel completely straight. So like the U-Haul guy was just so concerned. And I brought it back to Jim's house, for Jim who runs Big Heavy World. I was like, how old was I? I was 18 years old. And I called him on the phone. He's like, hey, Bri, how's everything going? I was like, hey, so I'm dropping off your van. Thank you so much for letting us use it. I broke it. How can I fix it? Like, how can I help make this happen? He was like, no worries, Brian. It's okay. These things happen. Like, he was just like so like zen about it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Of course, I was like freaking out, as you know.
He deals with teenagers all the time.
Exactly.
He just, it's gonna happen. He gave you a van. Like that's some trust right
there. It's a mistake is what it is. And yeah, so that first tour, we did Portland, Boston, and I think we did I think it was Portland, Boston, and then the Space in Hamden, Connecticut.
Cool.
And I think it was just those 3 shows. Like I couldn't really pull it. Like I didn't have the skills at that point to like book a full tour.
Yeah, but when you're 18, that's so cool that you even went to more than 2 places.
Yeah.
2 places in a row is cool then.
And then later on, as that same band, I think with that original lineup plus 1, we did, it was pretty much the same tour, like maybe a little bit longer or a little bit different route, but it was like the same number of places, like 3 or 4 outside of Vermont and then 2 in Vermont. And that was like, I think the limits of the Dented Personality touring days. And then with Better Things, it was like, a significant amount compared to like a lot of like smaller DIY bands.
So by the time Better Things came around, what were you playing?
So I had learned to play guitar. Somebody who was in my first band, like when we were Dented Personality, we had a guitar player who her and I are really good friends now. We kind of met each other through this band because she was like 2 years older than me, 1 year older than me. And her name is Megan Burke. She actually, a shout out to Megan. She is in a project called Snow Day right now, and it's like just a solo acoustic thing. It's super cool.
Awesome. I'll see if she wants to come on the show.
Yeah, you definitely should. And she's joining. I think she's joining a band, but I can't talk about that because it's secret, top secret. But so Megan had taught me how to play guitar a bit. Like I was given a guitar for Christmas. I like sucked at it. I learned how to play. That one like 8th grade graduation song by Green Day.
The time of your life.
Yeah, good riddance. That's what.
Yes. Exactly.
Parentheses. Time of your life. And so like did that. It was fine. It was whatever. And then put down my guitar for a while. Didn't have an electric guitar, so I like when I started learning to play more, I had to like borrow an electric guitar, and then I like worked at Staples for a summer selling staples. And like scrimped and saved and bought like my first electric guitar.
Nice. What was it?
It was a Fender Jazzmaster. It was made in Mexico. I still have it. It's definitely not my favorite guitar though. It's pretty, but yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I've done the same exact thing before.
Yeah.
Looks good. Doesn't play well.
I mean, it's definitely seen better days too. Which is like I was really rough on it. Not just like I think just always had it in a soft case and like always threw it around on stage, especially because I was there was never a point that I was like the only. After then, well, there's never a point where I was playing guitar and I was the only one playing guitar and it mattered. Right. So like I was sometimes just ridiculous with my guitar at that stage of my life. I still have it though. It's okay.
Have you sold any of your instruments, or are you a hoarder?
I'm a hoarder. I got back into piano and like keyboard, and I had gotten a MIDI keyboard like 10 years ago at this point, like when I was like 14, I think.
Yep.
And I like played it for a while. It was whatever. It was kind of like a really basic MIDI keyboard. And then I recently, like a year ago, bought a really nice MIDI keyboard, and I play that a lot. But I do not have the heart to throw away my like, or sell my like boring, like OG MIDI keyboard. I used to be a hoarder. I don't think I am anymore. But when it comes to instruments, absolutely.
I sell mine, which I often regret. But every older musician tells me never sell an instrument. You're going to regret it. And I've gotten rid of one that I kind of regret.
What'd you get rid of?
It was a Schecter She-Devil guitar, which they only made for, I think, a year before they completely discontinued it. It was one of the most beautiful guitars I've ever seen. Spent way too much money on it, though, and it played horribly.
Oh, I bet.
I don't know what the heck was wrong with this, because some Schecters are really nice, but this guitar was so terrible. But I kind of wish I still had it, just so I could be like, look at that one, isn't it pretty?
It looks really good. Yeah.
It was cool. I had, so it was a neck through, and it had red, an inlay.
Oh, yeah.
Around the neck and the body, like this endless those are red stripe.
That's like the Schecter thing, like having that cool, very edgy inlay. Those are so pretty.
Yeah, it was really ridiculous. And then there was 2 she-devils inlaid in the neck at the 12th fret. There was actually like 2 chicks on the guitar. It was so ridiculous. It looked so cool, but it was kind of like one of these metalhead guitars.
Oh yeah.
I could not live out. Like I'm a folk punk person in the best of times, and I'll learn like one metal riff. I'm like, cool. And then I don't learn the rest of the song, so I could not justify owning this guitar, playing this guitar.
I've believe it or not, like you are not the first person that like is not into like metalhead stuff that I've just seen like gravitate towards that Schecter. It's really cool. It's really unique.
Yeah, they look awesome.
And it's really pretty. And like, so I get it, but it is funny that I've seen so many people who like play really basic chords and like just cover songs that they like, and like that's their extent of playing music, which is not a bad extent to have, but they're like, I've got to have this one, the one that makes me look like I'm in Slayer.
Yeah, it's funny because I was always a metalhead in school. Like I love going to metal shows. Cool. I love listening to metal, but I don't have the patience. If I was on a bass, I think I could actually I could hold my own in a metal band. On guitar, though, I'm a I was always a bassist first. Like, I play a guitar like this with my two fingers because I'm a bassist.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's some,
it's
cool
funny
versatility.
though. I was like, this guitar makes me look like a badass, and then I hold it, and I sound like not a badass at all.
Here's Time of Your Life by Green Day.
Exactly. Here's this really, like, I'm gonna play you some Bob Dylan now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
On my She-Devil.
It's amazing.
Okay, so who are your influences in the area? That was a fun conversation we had yesterday.
Really interesting. Like as far as like
anything
currently, or like as so like getting it when I was getting into music.
You can kind of do like a story if you want, whatever you want to tell me about.
I mean, obviously, as I mentioned, #1 local band of 2009, Kings of Leon. Huge influence. Let's see. I mean, there have been some people who I think maybe not as musicians, but like as musicians in the local scene, quote unquote, that have just been really kind to me, or especially when I was like younger and not so certain of really anything. Like one person that comes to mind, and shout out Nick Wood, who plays in Gang of Thieves. We grew up in the same area. I think he actually grew up in the town that I work in now. But we used to play, like, they were all a bit older than my band, and we used to play like the same like little like teen center gatherings in Essex and stuff like that. And he was just always incredibly nice to me, and like to this day, like will occasionally send me supportive messages. It's just really nice that somebody is saying, hey, like, I really appreciate who you are, and like just that you're being yourself, or trying your best to be yourself and genuine, and like doing cool music things. I think there were a few like really cool like pop punky bands. Like there was this one band called The Control from Plattsburgh, way back like 2009 again, that I was like, oh, these guys are super cool. And who else? Jake Gregg, who is an incredible but late musician from the Rutland area, and his whole legacy, like as a younger person, has been celebrated incredibly, like justifiably. He, like similarly to Nick, when Jake was around, he first of all, his band inspired, like his band when we were in high school inspired my love for ska music. And then he was just somebody who I always loved bumping into because he would like make me feel good, and like I was appreciated. And like, even though back then I wasn't a great musician, like he was listening,
right,
and caring. I don't know, like there are thousands of people I think that have influenced me in some way or another, but
right.
Like those people are ones that come to mind as far as when I was like a younger musician, that there were so many voices that I think were negative, and those ones were just incredibly positive, like unquestionably positive. Like they didn't put anything past me.
Right. They didn't say, oh, those were great, except for, or you could have done this, or
and I mean, blind optimism is not necessarily like a good thing, but like it's also, I think, really important. Like when you inspire people's confidence, regardless of who they are, it's positive. Like especially if they're young people, like you are inspiring them to be more genuine and be more vulnerable and be willing to kind of like go out on a limb and like do the things that they love. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Music, especially. Music is very embarrassing, especially for young kids. You ask a 13-year-old to sing, 99% of 13-year-olds aren't going to do that, because at some point in their life, they either got told that they couldn't sing. Exactly. Yep. Or they just started to believe that because everyone says that they can't sing, so I must be like everyone else. So yeah, that whole mentality of music and being told that you suck. Like there's so many people doing that. It's amazing that anyone ever gets anywhere with music, because you have to be resilient enough to just roll it off your shoulders, brush it off. They're going to tell you suck, and you just got to keep on sucking until you get sort of good at it.
Yes. It's, usually the hope. So.
Oh, tell me about the DIY Facebook group. When did you start that?
Sure. To everyone listening, I'm so sorry about the DIY Facebook group. No, I think I started, myself, and I don't know if you've been around long enough to in the Burlington music community to remember Rat House.
I've heard a bunch about it from different people, but I haven't heard much about it besides yesterday. And
okay, so yesterday. I mean, I'm sure the people that you talked to yesterday are heavily influenced by
Lake Waves. Really, really liked Rat House.
Rat House is amazing. So I was running shows all the time at Jim's Basement, and Haley and Braden were the two people that were running Rat House, and really it was like super competitive. Like we were like there were a lot of really cool shows that were coming to Burlington, and it was like really cool DIY shows, and we were like not fighting over them, but it would be like who can accommodate them the best. And this was late 2007 or like mid 2017. And I remember somebody there's a very, it's not top secret, but I'm going to say it's top secret. There's a top secret and now not very top secret Facebook group for it's like the Burlington Black Market U.
Oh yeah.
Page.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
It used to be called Champlain Black Market, and I think it was when it was Champlain Black Market that somebody posted something about like, oh, I want, like, tell me about basement shows. Like, where do I find basement shows? Like, how do I go to basement shows that I know are safe? Like, how can I feel comfortable going to basement shows? Like, when I hear like X, Y, and Z things, or like if I don't know who's running them, or all that sort of stuff. And it was like a very much a word of mouth, like DIY for a long time. And I think there are a lot of people who still operate this way, that it's like very word of mouth rather than like, here's the show, here's the address, come on in, for like myriad of reasons. It's that way.
If it's your own home,
if
I would imagine you don't want to just put it all over billboards.
And there are so many concerns about just safety in general, as there should be. But essentially, I went to Braden and Haley, and I was like, hey, I think we have a really cool potential here to, like, there were so many people that responded to this thread in Black Market U. And I was like, there's really cool potential here for us to create this community where we can all talk about things like in an accessible manner, like where it's really easy for, I think us as promoters, we were having a hard time because people were doing like shitty stuff in our like domains essentially, or like, and we would have to like shoulder that burden. And then like showgoers were like, I don't know how I feel about this, or like potential showgoers, like, I don't know how I feel about this, or I don't know if I'm going to feel comfortable going to this. So the idea was initially like, oh, we're going to create these guidelines. Initially it was to, create some guidelines that would put promoters and showgoers and venue spaces all kind of like on an equal playing field of being able to communicate openly and understand what the values of everybody should be, and like how people should be respectful towards each other and to the venues, and like why it's important, and like how you can foster this positive community. Have we accomplished that? I don't think so. Like, it's very complicated. Like, for a long time there were people who were like so super on board with it, like, and we tried to make it really like democratic as far as like people would vote on like kind of guidelines and whatever, but at the end of the day they're guidelines, and like it's a DIY group. We don't have any money. Like, we don't want to like ask people for donations to like create materials or create zines that promote what's happening. But I think within the group there is an opportunity, and I think a lot of people have taken advantage of this, to foster like a kind, caring community that listens to each other and talks about important issues. Sometimes the issues are as little as like, I'm looking for a new guitar amp. Yeah. But it's there. And like it's a lot easier for somebody who just moved to Burlington to find that group and join it. And when they go to a show that they saw in that group, they'll see people that they saw that they've been interacting with online. Yep. Whereas before it was just kind of like this vast like space of, who, I don't know who's going to be there. I think it's also important for like call outs and like talking about accountability, that we have like a combined space where we can kind of share ideas and talk about how we make things better.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's funny because I joined that group 2 or 3 years ago. Like before I moved to the city, I joined that group.
You've seen a lot of shit, haven't you?
It's not really, though. That's what's kind of funny to me is I haven't really seen much negative. I've seen a lot of positive things, and I'd reached out a couple times, just different musicians, and it was more the greater Burlington area posts, so maybe that's why I wasn't seeing anything negative.
Yeah.
But an honest, heartfelt thank you for the group. Because this is literally how I started the podcast. I came up with the concept and then I said, well, I'm not going to put any money into this until I know people are interested. So I went on DIY and I made my post, and Matthew Seacard got in touch with me in like 10 minutes. Not even.
Oh, he's fast.
And I immediately knew that if someone was ready to reach out to me that quickly about this, that this was going to be an idea that other people are going to be interested in. So thank you for that.
No problem. And I gotta say, like, you know, thank you also to people like Thunder Lestrada, who runs Gloom Garden, and Matt Kimball, who's been just kind of like a longtime supporter of DIY and runs an occasional secret DIY spot, and Casey Little. And there are just a bunch of people who are super active in that group as admins, who make it possible for us to be like, you know, productive. There are definitely like cops that like legitimately, there are definitely cops who try to join the group. And like potential
do what?
I think like it's like monitoring, trying to like shut down like DIY spaces if they're not in compliance of things. And so the fact that we have so many people who are monitoring the group and making sure that like the discussion's positive, like people are respected, and
right, because you guys go through every post. You don't just immediately let people post whatever they want.
We go through every post. Thunder is really, really fast at approving posts. Like generally, so we all get a notification. I think you can turn it off, but all of the admins, and I think we currently have like 15, and that does include some pages. But everybody gets a notification that somebody has like requested to either join the group or make a post. And generally, if I'm sitting at my computer with Facebook open and it's like a reasonable hour, and a notification will come through saying like so-and-so has like a post pending, I'll click on the notification. And by the time I click on the notification, like Thunder has already like approved
someone
it.
Else got to it.
Yeah, like they're very quick. And it's awesome. I think it's a really great community, and the people who are helping run it really care about keeping it that way.
Yeah. It seems like it's evolved a bit from what you started it as.
Yes. And I think it should keep evolving too. Like I it's really my inaction and busyness as a person that's like, I think, been a detriment to that happening, where there are some really great groups in Burlington. Like I won't name names because like some of them are pretty quiet and secret, that promote a lot of like racial justice and respect and equality, and really push against any sort of gatekeeping. And I think that's a direction that we can get better at. Like I think it has gotten better naturally and evolved, but I think there's more room for like representation in like the admin group of DIY Burlington and in DIY Burlington as a whole. Kind of make sure that everybody realizes that it's an equal platform, and like
right,
you should be excited, and like you can contribute and make this place your own. And like we need to start up from the top and like show that before it's just going to happen naturally.
Right.
But yeah. And I think it has happened naturally to an extent, but I think, you know, there can be a jump shot or like a jump start to it.
Right. So how many people are in that group?
I don't know about the current number count. I think the last time I checked, it was like 1,600.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was somewhere over 15.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, it's crazy. So that more than one person per day since we founded the group is like the.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, yeah. So now are we in our second year only? Yeah, second year. So more than over one person a day. It's like pretty significant number of people per day joining the group. Some days like newer members will come in and think it's really cool and will invite all of their friends. Like I think we usually see that around when the colleges first come back into session.
Yeah, I'm sure all those kids just jump in every Facebook
and then like
group.
Start inviting.
Yeah, it's everybody on their dorm floor.
Oh, exactly. And that's a good thing. Like I think there are definitely plenty of accounts in there that just aren't active within the group anymore.
Right.
And there are a lot of group accounts in there that are like touring musicians and things like that. And like that was another thing that like because I used to tour a bunch, there were like I'm in a bunch of groups that are like DIY Burlington to some extent. But most of them are like inundated with, hey, my band from Saskatchewan is coming through town in 2 months, and I really want to like book a show. And so I think the kind of the voice that we're trying to give to like these DIY spots and DIY promoters is beneficial towards that, because users of the group can keep things like pretty local and like growing the local group. But then people who are not from Burlington and want to book a show nearby can come in, and really it's just about like, oh, like here are the 10 venues that are like really active right now, and like the 10 promoters that are really active right now, and so I can reach out to them, and like we try to really foster that rather than people coming in the group and being like I think if it's an emergency we usually let it through,
right?
But like if somebody's booking a tour, that's what we try to push them towards. So
yeah, it's a really cool group. I've seen, it's interesting the different posts that you see on there.
Oh, yeah.
They're just so wide ranging, because basement shows, that's a lot of what you'll see. But then you'll see people selling things or looking for other musicians, or hey, we've got a spot to fill this night.
Yeah.
Someone looking to play.
One of my favorite things that I've seen recently is at Gloom Garden, I think it was last night, from the time we're recording this, last night, there was the Mad Market. And it was like a DIY like crafts market with one musician playing, and it was just kind of like a bunch of craft and art vendors, which is awesome. It is so cool. And so like definitely I'm hoping that we get to see more and more of that. But
yeah, very cool. So what is your weirdest experience you've ever had in the music scene in Burlington?
Well, I mean, I don't know about Burlington.
In general, if it's just
there was the time.
Weird.
Okay, so this is unsubstantiated, but like I'm inclined to believe that it was true, because it was pretty crazy. Definitely looked like him. There's a lot of like facts that back it up, but I still am not like 100% that I believe it. Back in the Dented Personality days, I think it was actually when we came home from our first tour. I think it was actually first or second. And we played a show at 242 Main, and yeah, rip in pieces.
Out, right?
So, well, I mean, the bathrooms at 242 Main could be a story on their own.
Yes,
I've been thinking about that a lot recently. I saw a picture, and I like could smell it of the bathrooms at 242 Main. But no, we were playing the show at 242 Main. And this guy came in, and like it was not that crowded of a show. Like there were friends and family. There was whatever, but like it was, I think, medium. It wasn't full by any means, but it wasn't like empty either. It was definitely better than like some 242 Main shows had gotten to at that point, where it was just very little crowds. And my bandmates pulled me aside. Like I was like talking to somebody and like picking up some stuff at the end of the show, and my bandmates pulled me aside, and they were like, "Dude, that guy was Darius Rucker."
No.
And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, Hootie from Hootie and the Blowfish. Side note, I did recently find out from my boss at work that Darius Rucker is not Hootie. Like, it's some sort of like other member of the band or like friend of the band.
Really?
Darius Rucker is just Darius Rucker.
Everyone just assumes he's Hootie.
Yeah, exactly. It's Hootie and the Blowfish. I hope that Hootie's the drummer, because that's just funny. Right. Like Darius Rucker is part of the Blowfish. But yeah, no, supposedly Darius Rucker came to the show and was like, talked to my friend. He's like, "Hey, my name's Darius. You guys played a really great set." Like, this is when we were like 18 years old. Like it's a dim room, not 100% sure about this like legitimate, like multiple people in the venue backed this story up, but I'm like, no way.
That's hard to believe that he would be at 242. I could see it though if he was in town for the night and just wanted to go find something to do. 242 had a show. I could see it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other ridiculous stories. Probably one of my favorite experiences was I was definitely a late bloomer in many regards, especially in my emo phase. And
were you emo and scene was cool?
no. I was like the kid with like the mom jeans. People can back this up. I like in high school, like I like wore like mom jeans and like Adidas like white like boring ass basketball shoes, and like I wore my like Less Than Jake t-shirt everywhere. It was terrible. Like I had no style probably until like I discovered Queer Eye like in the last year. Like I like discovered Queer Eye and I was like, oh, I'm starting to get, if I take care of myself, I look good and I feel more confident. Great. And if I like invest in my clothes a little bit, like they don't just fall apart. So yeah, no, I did not have a scene phase, mainly because my aesthetic look, like my look just did not support a scene phase. I did have there actually, if you go back far enough on my Facebook profile pictures, I had like the scene hair, but that was it. Like it was like the scene hair, and like I'm pretty sure there's a profile picture of me with the swoopy scene hair and a SpongeBob SquarePants t-shirt on, which is like really just an iconic thing.
That's so funny. That sounds like what year did you graduate?
I technically graduated in 2012.
Okay, well, I graduated in 2011, so I was like, that sounds like high school.
Yeah, oh yeah, no.
The swoop hair and SpongeBob, and like, that just sounds like 2010, like right in that era.
So, this scene thing, I think it was like 2014, I was asked, well, my band was asked, it must have been 2015, we were asked to open for Hawthorne Heights at Club Metronome. It was the coolest experience I've ever had in my life.
That sounds so cool.
Like there have been some really, really cool experiences. Like with musicians, like I think my like common theme is like I will have really good experiences with people who later become famous. And so like I'll be like, oh my God, like I knew this person once upon a time, and like if I ask them really nicely, they'll give me like a guest pass, or they'll add me to their guest list for the show that I could go see them at 2 states away. Shout out Pentimento, you guys rock. You're not gonna listen to this.
That's okay.
But we're gonna give them a shout out anyway. But like, so like Hawthorne Heights was super cool because it was just like I had like grown into this phase where I was like, oh my God. And it was like their Silence in Black and White 10th anniversary tour, and so they like played it in its entirety.
Oh, cool.
It was just a really, really cool thing. So that was a wild experience. I'm trying to think if I have one more for you. So there's this singer-songwriter. He's like synonymous with like the ska music scene. His name's Dan P. or Dan Pothast. And he was doing it was like a solo acoustic living room tour. And this was I think it was my first experience booking a show at Jim's Basement, actually. So I was like, hey, like I'd seen him open for Streetlight Manifesto, like to this packed crowd in Montreal, and I was like, dude, you were awesome. I'd totally love to have you come to Burlington. And he was like, cool. I do have to like make money though. So would you be? This is also my first experience with guarantees. Mistake. I agreed to pay him $200 to come play Jim's Basement to a total of 5 people.
Oh no,
it's okay. It was great. I mean, so he played, it was a lot of fun. He played some really good songs, and I paid him $200. It was sad. But then he took me for free. The Toasters were playing at Club Metronome again that night, and he took me for free to go see them because he like was really good friends with them and everyone that was in the band. And so we went and played, saw the Toasters, and then he like came home to my house and slept in the guest room of my mom's house, which I didn't find out that he was allergic to cats until we pulled into the driveway.
Oh no.
My mom has lots of cats. Yeah. So it was not, I mean, like not a happy ending to our visit, but I don't know. I think he'll remember.
I'm sure he survived.
Yeah, he survived, and I think he'll remember that tour date for quite some time.
I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, that's great. Is there any upcoming shows or events that you'd like to plug?
No, I think you should, like, I don't personally have any upcoming shows. I'll state it for the record so that I don't not do it. I'm hoping to record a full album for 2020.
Solo?
To be determined, like definitely with more than just guitar and vocals.
Right.
Like I think it's been long enough, and I'm like excited enough to make music again, just like for myself, that I really want to set that as a personal goal. So for the record, everyone hold me to that listens to this podcast. But if you want to check out any shows in Burlington in the coming time, I think you should go check out Gloom Garden and check out their page on Facebook, and also Superstition Booking. They're doing a lot of cool new things, and they're like a brand new little crew. So check it out.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show.
No problem.
This has been another great episode where I don't have to think too much. We just had a conversation.
Thanks for letting me just spew.
That's what it's
disgustingly
all about.
Yeah. Just spew for, I don't know how you, I just want, this is not going to make it in, but I'm going to try to paint a picture for the listeners. For the last 30 minutes that I've been talking, Becca has been looking at her watch and being like, I don't think it's I need to get out of here. It's Brian, are you all right? You're talking so much.
That for the record, because we're saying for the record right now.
She did, yeah.
It's more that I'm worried that a band's going to show up and start playing.
Oh my God.
And then we'll suddenly be cut off. And I'll just be like, well, that's the end of the show.
Yeah, you'll record it 2 days from now. Just thank you for tuning in to Burlington Talks.
Or just cut you mid-sentence. The end. All right, Brian, thank you very much for being on the show.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
A giant thank you to Brian for being on the show. He was a wonderful guest. Check out the show notes page by going to burlingtontalks.com/06. Can you believe this is already the 6th interview on the podcast? I can't. It's gone so fast. There's going to be links to everything we discussed on that show notes page, and you'll be able to listen to the episode there, and there's going to be a transcript of the entire episode if you like to read or if you want to search through and find something. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'm going to ask 3 things of you now that you listened all the way to the end. Click the subscribe button on your chosen podcasting platform, iTunes, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, whatever you are listening on. Tell your friends in the Burlington area about the show. This is a local podcast, so I'm relying on you, the locals, to spread the word about it. And finally, leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. You don't need to listen on Apple, but you can still leave me a review there. If you are so inclined, you can support the show by going to burlingtontalks.com/support. I will be creating goodies and bonuses for the supporters of the show. There's going to be more info to come on that. Send me an email, becca@burlingtontalks.com, and that's BECCA, Becca. I would love to hear what you have to say about the show. If you have something cool to talk about, I would love to interview you. If you have any improvements, any ideas, I would just love to hear from you. Don't be shy. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Burlington Talks. Thank you so much for listening. You rock. Let's make the Roaring 20s a decade to remember. That's what's new in the 802. Copyright December 31st, 2019 by Burlington Talks and Rebecca Hammond.